welcome to Personal Tao. Today we're going to explore midlife transformation. Now, our culture calls it midlife crisis, and there's the first trap, the word crisis. This is not a crisis. This is a very natural point of our life when we're evolving into a deeper person. This is a chance for us to change and become the person we've always dreamed to be. It's a very natural part, and it's a deep part of our life. If you make it a crisis, you'll never be in control of your transformation, and you always will be chasing rather than becoming. That's very critical. So, first truth, make this a time of midlife transformation. Now, let's look at what's really happening at a natural level. There's actually several different cycles we live as a human being. The first is every 7 years, we change our story. It's a 7-year itch. It's a part of our basic nature. So every 7 years, we change our story. But there's a bigger cycle. There's a 40-year cycle. In China, the saying goes, you work as a Confucius, you retire as a Taoist, and you die as a Buddhist. And that illustrates the 3/3 of life. The first 40 years is when we're very social. It's our social third, our community third, our family third, when we raise our family. Very important third. The second third is when we come into our mind, when we come into our power, when we make our life our own. We're actually becoming an elder. And so there's a lot of rewiring, a lot of physical changes, physiological changes, and intellectual changes. It's also when we begin to embrace spirit. So it's actually a very powerful change point where it's coming into power and you're changing how you're seeing the world. The last third is all about legacy, what survives us. Now let's go back to that 40-year point. That 40-year point is a massive change. There's a lot happening. We're changing the way we're seeing the world. We're beginning to release our social obligations. That's hard because in releasing social obligations, we create a lot of conflict because everyone around you doesn't want you to change. So all of a sudden you may not want to be in that job anymore, but you need the job because you have to support your children or you have to support the loans that you took out as a younger person. So it turns out changing around 40-ish is really difficult, because your obligations and commitments will chase after you. And at this point, you don't want those commitments anymore. You want to commit to yourself, not to something you agreed to 20 years ago. So it's a powerful change point, but then your obligations can follow you. And other people don't like to change. So as you begin to change, it causes ripples. So your partner may get insecure because as you're changing, they may feel the fear of you leaving, or your children might act up a little bit. So as you change, the people around you will respond. And that creates a lot of pressure on you all of a sudden. So understand this is a natural process. And in the natural process, we do want to look at ourselves a little differently. Now, it doesn't happen all the way right away. In other words, midlife transformation is a process that takes a few years to go through. In our culture of instant gratification, we think we can make it happen like that. We want the change to happen within 3 months, and we try to force it. When in fact, the psychological changes, the physical changes, and the improvements we go through take longer to happen. So one of the bigger traps of midlife transformation is we try to rush it. We try to make it happen too fast, and that hurts us. We tear ourselves apart. We tend to run away from our obligations too fast, and then the obligations chase us. We don't want that. Now remember earlier why I said there are 3/3. The second third starts around 40, 37 to 42, and runs for 40 years. 40 years. See, in our culture where we throw away our older people, our elders, we don't want to become an elder. We try to resist it. We try to stay young. But the truth of the matter is, we have 40 years at this plateau. If you think it's all downhill, you're going to rush it. You're going to push yourself and you're going to be scared. If you realize this change happens over 40 years, and this is the peak of your life, a big plateau, it changes the way you look at it. What's 1 to 2 years to change when you have 38 more years at that peak to live at the best you can be? It's amazing. So if you see the time frame, it changes everything. Most people think of it as all downhill. If you think that way, you're screwed. You're going to panic, you're going to hurt others, and you're going to run away from problems. If you realize you have a few years to push everything together, to change things up, to rewire life, to make new improvements, then you can go into it with a deeper commitment, a deeper patience, and actually slowly change in logical steps and really embrace the change. So realize this is the second third of your life. It's a full, rich 40 years. So don't rush into it. Embrace it with your full heart. Allow the changes to happen. Enjoy each change one step at a time. It's really important. Now, not everyone goes through midlife transformation as deeply as everyone else. What I've discovered is about 17% of the population really goes through a deep change where they truly change their story, so they have to reinvent themselves. And then most people don't have to go through the reinvention as deeply. So because of this, for a long time, people didn't even think midlife transformation existed because not everyone goes through it as deeply. That's natural, it turns out. For the average person, this little changes are enough. But for some of us, we need bigger changes. We need to really work and shift a lot. So that's okay too. Now, as you shift, it causes the problem with your other partners because they will be brought into your change and their timing isn't the same as your timing. So you will encounter resistance because they may not be ready to change. So you may be ready to sell your house, sell the car, buy a farm, do something really drastic, and your partner's like going, "You're crazy. I don't want to do that. I don't want to lose my plumbing." So the timing between you and your partner can be very different. And you have to be patient because you have to give time for the people around you to kind of adjust to the new you. Now, an interesting aspect of this is you're becoming a younger person. You're young in spirit, and that's really powerful. So in being young in spirit, people will actually put you down a little bit. They're saying you're acting like a child again. Well, you are a child again. You're a spiritual child. You see, we're mind, body, and spirit. When we're younger, we're more focused on our jobs, our stories, our mind, and our body. But as we hit this point of waking up into ourselves, we begin to discover there's more to life than just being in positive, great shape. There's more in life than just having a good job. That we begin to get curious. We want to explore and experiment. We begin to discover what we call spirit. And that's the way we move and dance through life. And we begin to expand that spiritual side of us. And again, that can create conflict because maybe the people around us are not ready to explore spirit yet. And so they will judge you. They'll say, "You're doing something crazy, like beginning to dive. That's for children." When in fact, diving is amazing, discovering all the life under the ocean. Or maybe you want to fly. Or maybe you want to begin writing poetry because you're beginning to see the world in a bigger way. So again, you have to pace yourself so that way you don't get pulled back by others saying you're being too crazy. So understand, this is a young stage of life where we're actually reinvigorating ourselves. Now, interesting truth is we also rewire our bodies a little bit. So there's a lot of healing going on. So lots of times in our culture where we have a lot of damage because we've worked too hard, we push ourselves too hard, this becomes a moment of life where we get to recharge. It's a moment of, it's time for me to reset. It's time for me to rebalance and heal. So this is a great time to heal. But then if you're healing, again, you're letting other things fall apart. So you're juggling a lot of commitments. So again, this is a great time to heal, and you should take this time to become whole again. So be aware of that. So again, this youthful aspect of us is very disconcerting for those around us because it will look like we're acting immature when in fact we're just learning again, we're open again, we're playing again. The difference between a child and an adult is children play, adults don't. And at this stage of midlife transformation, we begin to play again. And that's a powerful gift because it allows us to change and explore. So play, that's an important part of the process. Now, because we're beginning to heal, another part of the process is we begin to move, we begin to exercise. So it's really important to begin exercising again. Now, a lot of people will get addicted to exercise because it feels so good. So don't hurt yourself exercising. Pace yourself. But this is a good time to begin exercising. That exercise actually will help bring out your midlife transformation. So exercise is actually a natural and healthy part of this process. So allow yourself to experience this change. Allow yourself to make it about transformation. Allow yourself to open up your habits like exercise and learning to have more gratitude and to have patience to see things a little bit deeper and to talk to new people and expand. This is a good time to do this. Now, typically, rebuilding a life doesn't happen overnight. In our culture, we want things to happen fast, overnight. That's not the way this works. It takes several years for it all to come together. Without help, without a teacher, naturally this process will unfold over 3 to 7 years. It will take a full 7-year cycle to go through the entire process, in fact. So it's an important time. There's a lot happening. Now we can speed it up. So if I'm teaching you, if I'm helping you go through it, I can speed it up to be 1 to 2 years. You can't make it go any faster than that, because if you make it go faster, then you don't really learn the lessons. You don't really change. So with help, with assistance that I give you, yes, I can make it happen within 1 to 2 years. I can help things resolve out a little smoother. I can help teach you against the mistakes that you will make. Now there's an interesting process truth. We are taught in our culture that there's a right way and a wrong way. We're judged all the time. We think that there's only one way to go through life, and that's not true. So the absolute truth here is there's no right way to do the midlife transformation, and that is one of the traps, because we wait for the right way to do this. At midlife transformation, you often have to make a lot of hard choices. And so we tend to put those choices off because we're looking for the right answer. And we will wait until everything's perfectly aligned, and then we'll do something. Trouble is, it's never going to be perfect. There's no perfect answer in how to transform. It's a personal choice, which means if you wait for the right answer how to make yourself a better person, it'll never happen. And that's kind of sad. The truth is, if there's no right way, the reverse is 100% true also. There's no wrong way to doing this. And that's part of my secret and how I teach you. See, there is no wrong way. Children make mistakes all the time. We don't punish the children for the mistakes. We help them learn through the mistakes. The same is true now. We're going to make mistakes in our transformation process. Instead of running away from those mistakes, we learn from them, we embrace them, and we laugh and enjoy them even. So everyone around you is going, look at the mistake you just made, and you go, yeah, look what I just learned. And you turn it around into something even powerful. And those mistakes now become your new career. And next thing you know, you're becoming rich off your mistakes. Seriously. So the mistakes are actually opportunities to learn against. And I will help you learn against those mistakes. So when I'm helping you, it becomes one step ahead, every step ahead. Normally when people do this alone, they make one mistake and then they take 2 steps behind. And then everyone beats them up, and then the judgment comes in, and this becomes a battle. And then you just get beaten up. And that beating up process just destroys you. That's why it takes so long, because you keep getting pushed back. I turn it around into an experience of making yourself grow through everything. And it becomes enjoyable because there's someone there to help you grow. You have a teacher to make you complete in yourself and see yourself. Part of the nice thing of this process is letting you become your own person, helping your essence shine, and truly chasing those bits that everyone else doesn't believe, but you do. This is your chance to truly be you. That's amazing. Now, not every choice we made when we were younger was correct. And as a result, when we hit this change point, we often have to change some of our options. And yes, it's okay to shift up the way we live and shift up some of our choices. That could be a hard thing to do. If we're in a relationship that isn't really right for us, that creates a hard choice point. How do you work with fixing your relationship? Now, every single time is case by case. Sometimes 2 people, I will work with 2 people and help them grow with each other so they can change together. And other times, the relationship is not a proper relationship, and this is a natural time to release. And people are insecure and they don't want to be lonely. So this is a tough point. There isn't a right answer to fix relationships or move on. It's case by case. So don't worry about if your relationship is in trouble at the moment. Rather, look at it with an open heart and begin to grow. Take some time to readjust and see where the relationship will need to go to naturally. If you try to force fix it right now, your relationship will break apart. Now let's talk about partners for a second. If you go to my website and you go to the Midlife section, you'll see the Midlife section is actually written in 2 ways. It's written for the people in midlife transformation, and it's also written for people of the partners, because you have to approach it a little bit different. If you're a partner of someone in midlife transformation, you have to be very patient. You have to be non-judgmental, because if you try to force your partner in a way they don't want to go, they will leave. If you judge your partner right now, they will leave. You have to reapproach this a different way. You have to approach it as a way of letting your partner change, and as they're changing, pull back and work on your own changes. Pull back and begin to help yourself grow too. And that's a hard thing to do when you're scared. In other words, You're being dragged into your change. So I do work with the partners of people in midlife change too, to help them pace themselves so they can make it. If you're a partner and you panic, if you freak out, you actually will break your relationship right now. If you pause, if you take time to grow yourself, if you give your partner some room to grow, that gives you and your partner time to readjust to each other and come back together. And because it takes 2 years, that's a long time. That's why it's important to get my help, because making it through 2 years is really hard to do. It's easy to panic and push your partner away in a moment of panic. So I'm there with you every step of the way. So when you do panic, you can call and I can help guide you through those panic moments and not jump into a bigger disaster by accident. Timing is everything in this process. So you don't have to be alone. Either if you're in midlife transformation or if your partner's in midlife transformation, you don't need to be alone. Don't try to do this all on your own. Now, some people, yeah, they will do it all on their own, and that's perfectly acceptable too. Just realize, as you are changing, you want to do more on your own. So the person in midlife transformation tends to be more independent and they tend to break off more on their own, and that's perfect. So don't force your partner to find help, because then they will feel forced by you and they'll run away from you. So be careful in how you approach this from either side. Allow it to be a longer process and allow it to be a beautiful process. This is your time to retake control of your life. This is a rare opportunity. This happens. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And when it happens, you truly get to reinvent yourself. So why not reinvent yourself? Why not make life better? If you revert back into what you were, are you really going to be happy? Is everything really going to be right? You see, in relationships especially, we tend not to change. And if we don't change, our relationship will break apart. And when I marry people, I teach you one of the things that you need to do with your partner is change. You have to become a new person. Every 7 years you become a new person. So if you don't allow change to happen, your relationship will break apart over time. And so midlife, while it feels like a fearful time which is going to break apart your relationship, if you approach it right, it's actually what will bring your relationship back together again, because it's the time that allows you both to change and readapt to each other. So actually it can be a deep gift for both people in the midlife transformation. Now, as you, if you're a person in midlife transformation, don't fear it. Be careful how you share it with others. Realize as you talk to other people, they will judge you. So one of the truths of this, if you're a person in midlife transformation or if you're a partner in midlife transformation, you have to be careful who you talk to. Because a lot of people who you talk to are going to give you bad advice. They're going to give you the advice of what they would do if they were in that position. Trouble is, you're not them. And their advice is timed very differently because they're at a different stage of their life. They're not in a change point. They're actually holding back, or they're more conservative. So lots of times when you share what's going on, you'll get bad advice. So be careful on how you share the process. Don't let other people's judgment derail your process. Be careful to work with a person who respects your heart. That's another secret of the way I work with you. I look at your heart and I look at your essence. If you look on the site, there's an article about what is your essence. Essence is your nature, it's your style. And when we're living in a younger stage of life, the first stage of life, we tend to give up our power to fit in. Our style tends to blend in with other people. When we begin to wake up, we begin to come into our style. And as we begin to come into our style, we begin to rub other people wrong. So a lot of the advice you're going to get is go back to your old style, fit back in, when in fact that's exactly not what you need to do. You need to come into more your style. You need to be a little bit brave to push and experiment. So understand, your essence is beginning to shine at this period of life. Your hidden self, your true self is beginning to happen. And that's one of the secrets. I help you see that shine, that inner heart, and help you become that. And not be afraid to become that inner heart piece, that new part of you that's always been there but hidden underneath the veneer that we hide behind when we're trying to be social. So be aware, this is becoming an elder. This is becoming yourself. And it's actually deeply powerful. There's more to this than you expect. It's not just buying a red sports car. It's not just trying to create a new education. It's actually you matching up to your essence to truly be the best you can be. And that's powerful. Make it your time of transformation. Don't fear this time, embrace it. When you need help, contact us. We're here to help you. Go visit our site at www.personaltao.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we update our channel every week and every month with new videos. Be part of our community and we'll help. So don't be alone. Explore, be part of a community, and be the best you can be. Namaste.